Hey everybody, today William and I are driving the Cabriolet, the open top 911. As you know, I own a Cabriolet 911 myself, but I've got the 993. This is the 992, and I get a lot of questions about the 992 Cabriolet. Is it worth it? What are the ups and downs, positives, negatives? So I'll try and answer those in this video today. The thing about the Cabriolet models is that they are the same no matter which model 911 you're getting. That is, if you're getting a base or a Turbo S, they're all $13,800. They all have the same mechanism, they all weigh the same, they all work the same. So the Cabriolet is the same no matter which model you get. Porsche have been slowly refining the Cabriolet top over the years. There isn't a lot of change between the 991 Cabriolets and the 992s. The big difference is there's a little bit more insulation and they move a little faster. It takes 12 seconds to raise and lower the top now. Used to be 13 seconds, so you're saving a whole second. And of course the top can be raised and lowered on the go, so long as you're doing less than 30 miles an hour or 50 kilometers an hour. It's not a hard top like you see in BMWs and other cars. This is still a soft top, so it is pretty light, and when it's up, Porsche does such a great job of making sure that the overall chassis is so stiff that you really don't notice any difference in the handling or the way the car drives just because it's a Cabriolet. So this particular car is owned by a friend of mine, Mike, who lives over in Long Island. He's got a moving and storage company over there, and he's done a pretty good job of configuring this. Even though I'm not a big fan of white cars, I do love the red interior, and most importantly, he's got the manual transmission. So this is a pleasure to drive. And of course, one of the advantages of having the open top is you can really hear that exhaust sound from the back. It is a completely different experience than the coupe. You know, the coupe, you still hear the great engine sound, but with the convertible, with the Cabriolet, you really get to hear the sound of the engine. And the interesting thing about the Cabriolet models is how much more attention they garner. Like a 911 generally is still a pretty undercover sports car, but once you drop the top, a lot more people are looking, and so some people like that and some people don't. But yeah, I'd rather have a hard top model. But yeah, if you like the open top driving and you like the wind in your hair, the Cabriolet is a marvelous machine. So is there downsides to having the Cabriolet? Well, of course. As I mentioned, it is a little heavier, 150 pounds, a little more costly, $14,000. But probably the biggest downside is the extra cabin noise. Obviously, when the top's down, you're getting all the road noise and the traffic noise. It's not a comfortable place to be long term on the highway. But even with the top up, you know, Porsche do a great job of insulating this car. The top does cut out a lot of the road noise, but it is still a lot noisier than the coupe model. So if you're going to be driving these cars long distances on the highway, the coupe is a far more comfortable car to drive than the Cabriolet, even with the top up. So as you guys know, I've also got a 911 Cabriolet. Mine's obviously a much older one. Mine's the 993, and it's not a car that I ever intended getting. I was never considered myself a top-down Cabriolet guy, so people often ask me, so are you loving having a Cabriolet? And certainly on a nice day like today, yes, it is very nice having a Cabriolet, but it is not a car that I would choose to buy again. Well, I love the 993. The Cabriolet feature is really the thing that I like the least about it. It does help, you know, it is nice having open air driving. It's nice to hear the engine, but it does mean that that car is a fair weather car for me in most ways. You know, if it was a coupe, I'd be driving that car all year round. And I also don't enjoy driving that car on the highway because of how much road noise, regardless of whether the top is up or down. Whereas if it was a coupe, I'd drive it a lot more on the highway. So there are definitely disadvantages to having the Cabriolet, particularly in the older models. Less so in the brand new model like this. The top does do a good job of insulating you from that sound. And interestingly, my dogs have an opinion on this as well. Smudge loves driving in a Cabriolet. He's always got his head out the side, whereas Tui hates being in a Cabriolet. She always wants to go in my Macan because she doesn't like all the wind in her ears. There's also a little windshield that I'm not sure that I can put up because William's in the back, but we'll give it a try. Yep. So once this is up, it stops a significant amount of the wind coming through the cabin. You know, right now I'm doing 70 miles an hour and there's almost no wind in the cabin. course, I like to give everybody a hard time about buying white, black, grey, silver cars. But one of the advantages of having a white car is that it's easily converted into a FedEx truck if you need it to be. So the only other thing to note about the convertible is that it does change the shape of the body style a little bit. It does look a little humped at the back. The perfect line of the 911 is interrupted with the Cabriolet at the back. Certainly I prefer the look of the coupe at the back than the Cabriolet, but it's not a big deal. It's still a very pretty car. The only other thing I'd say about the Cabriolet is sometimes I feel like a little bit of a poser in it. And you might say, well, Nick, you own Porsches and you have a YouTube channel. How much more of a poser could you be? And you do have a solid point there.
So the other details in the interior of the Cabriolet are these three buttons here, which replace the sunroof buttons with the controls for the roof, up and down, and a third button for the wind deflector. There's also a separate button on the window controls, this little shark button, which controls the rear windows at the back here. When the other windows are up, you can put the rear windows up as well. The other detail on the Cabriolet is the rollover bars, which pop up if you roll the car over underneath these covers here. So I hope that answers all the questions people have about the Cabriolet 911 models. They are very, very popular. And if you've got any other questions, anything I've missed perhaps, put them in the comments below. Anyway, I wanted to thank Mike very much for bringing his Cabriolet out for us to check out. And also wanted to thank Rosa for the very generous gifts to Tui and Smudge, who loved the little squiggy toys and ate all the treats. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye then.
And if you're wondering where to acquire the ridiculous t-shirts that I wear in my videos, they're all here in my store, all your favorites, including offensive stamps and my rapid dry towels as well. Yes, Nick Murray t-shirts, being a little inappropriate since 2016.